I did 1, 2, 3, and then I can line up the visual and audio better. Welcome to another episode of Comics, the podcast where me and my mom go through our comic book collection 2 issues at a time, and we're starting with a DC comic this time. Detective Comics starring Batman, number 209? That's a 5. I can't read. 509 from December. And it's got Catman in it. Wondering why the Batman symbol's orange? No, you weren't? Well, it's because it kind of matches Catman's aesthetic to a degree. Orange and yellow. Just like a mustard-colored cat. When the tide comes in, Batman, your life goes out. So he kind of looks a lot like Batman, doesn't he? He's got the same cape cowl.
Rip-off.
Yeah, what a rip. Anyway,
what the heck?
yeah, I just picked it because I didn't really remember Catman, and I was like, I've got to learn about
I don't remember him at
Catman
all.
here. So we start off in Gotham City here.
Oh, it would be weird not to.
It would be weird. We start off in Metropolis. No, Bruce Wayne is on a date with Catwoman, with Selina Kyle. And that's appropriate because he's not only going to face Catman, but our title is 9 Lives Has the Cat. It's very classy the way they phrased that. They could have just said the cat has 9 lives, but they're mixing it up to sound a little poetic here.
Nice.
And Catman is spying on their date. I like that creepy little gritted teeth he has here.
Ew.
And she's sort of saying, like, I'm not going to be Catwoman anymore, and now we can be a couple, so good night. And essentially, Bruce is going back to his car, and it turns out city shadows have eyes.
Ooh, nice.
The eyes have moved. So I guess that cat is drawn towards Catman. And Catman is peeping on Catwoman here.
Maybe that's Catman.
That's
the
Catman's
real
cat.
Catman.
And, of course, Catwoman's going to have a few cats around her.
Oh, yeah.
In bursts Catman, though, because he wants revenge.
What? So do they give you an origin story?
They'll fill us in all right.
Okay, all right.
Catman. I like that Catman, instead of having, like, the silhouette of a cat, like Batman has the bat wings, he just has the letter C and M inside. That's
no
kind
wonder
of weird.
you
My
like
initials. Yeah. Well, he's kind of a chump, so he's not really the type of character I would, I would represent myself with. Chump man. But I saw you die. Turns out cats have 9 lives. They revisit that idea a couple of times.
All right.
So they struggle, but he overtakes her and kidnaps her. So not before she tears his mask and reveals that he's got a hideous scar, a Two-Face-esque scar, you might even say. Pink kind of blotch on his skin from their last encounter. But he overcomes her, and we cut to this guy talking with Batman and Commissioner Gordon. This is from the previous adventure. His name is Dr. 13. So
okay.
Maybe he's related to the 11 from Stranger Things. But their last adventure, Dr. 13 almost discovered that Bruce Wayne is Batman, but he got some specific amnesia, some very specific amnesia, because when he was about to go down the stairs behind the grandfather clock, he tripped and hit his head or something, and so now he doesn't know. Meanwhile, while he was passed out, Batman was able to subdue. The reason that Dr. 13 was there is because they thought that Wayne Manor was haunted. They thought there was a ghost. It turned out to be Man-Bat. Excuse me, I was going to say Batman. It was Man-Bat. So not only do Batman face off against Catman, he also Man-Bat. They should have him face off against
I would like
Bat-Ban.
Or Man-Man.
That's when they're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. Man-Man. Or Bat-Bat.
Not Man-Man.
I guess the Man-Bat had been driven mad by defective bat gland formula.
Ew.
It happens to all of us, so it's understandable. Gland. You have some defective bat gland.
Bats are known for their glands.
There's a lot of, thinking I like how so much of this transpires in thought bubbles, where they're like, "I'm so glad you didn't die and you got specific amnesia." And Batman's like, "Yeah, because there's the bat gland formula," and they're just sitting in silence as Batman's remembering all this stuff and my grandfather clock, and
They draw it like it's just mere seconds, but they've been sitting there for an hour.
yeah, they're like, I think we should get going. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. I'm kind of tired. He has some banter with Commissioner Gordon where there's two mayoral candidates. They both want to crack down, and they have a law and order agenda, and that's stressing Gordon out. I don't know. It seems like that's like a really common, the gist of that.
Yes.
It's like, oh, the DA is on my ass about something. They just give him some vague.
Yeah.
This is a thing in Batman comics that I'm not a big fan of, is when Bruce treats Alfred like crap or hurts him accidentally.
I know.
I'm not a big fan of that. Like, what is the message that you're supposed to... Because I think young boys are supposed to look up to Batman or Bruce Wayne, and it's like they project themselves into that character. They're like, yeah, every strong man that seeks justice and is successful needs a little old man to beat up on and like disrespect and casually
and he's
abuse.
actually his father figure.
Yeah, right? I mean, he doesn't do it purposely. I guess his reflexes are just so well honed that Alfred tries to wake him up and he almost rips his arm out of the socket. My God, Alfred, I almost broke your arm. Yeah. I mean, he feels bad about it, but if I recall, I know I just read this a few hours ago, but if I recall, there's another slight towards Alfred later on in the book. He doesn't treat Alfred super well. And I'm not...
Yeah, I don't like that. Yeah.
You got to treat him well. Anyway, he got him up because the silent alarm at Wayne Research Institute went off, and so he's got to get into his Batman duds. And I like this little montage of like, he's talking all the while. He's like, okay, get it off the hanger. He's like, no, I wore that one on Tuesday. This one's got...
It's like, wire hangers? Wire hangers?
It's from that movie. I forget what that is. The abusive
Joan Crawford,
mom.
yeah.
That's hilarious. To be honest with you, I've only ever heard of that. I've never watched the actual movie. What is it, Mommy Dearest? Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I've only heard of that as like a meme. I like, vroom! It's like wheels are coming out the ground.
Jeez. He like takes his time getting ready and then he speeds off.
Yeah. Well. Oh, this is what I meant. I wish Master Dick were here to help, sir. He isn't, so let's drop it.
Whoa.
He's so like, yeah,
Feisty.
he's kind of a butthole to Alfred sometimes, where Alfred's just trying to look out for him, or he's just saying he misses Robin.
Yeah.
And he's like, shut up, idiot. You're my slave.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, if you didn't know, while Star Labs is like a technological expertise lab, the Wayne Foundation's biology-based. So in the background over the past however many months, there's been a subplot where Poison Ivy has used her plant magic to hypnotize the board of directors into giving her control over this facility. This is what he's all thinking in his word bubbles here. His thought bubbles, rather. So that's kind of happening. It doesn't get resolved in this issue. So he's technically trespassing on Ivy's property here. And so that's what his first thought is like, could it be Poison Ivy? But he's like, well, she wouldn't set off the alarm because technically she does legally own this until I'm able to solve the brainwashing crisis. And actually, that I didn't mean to be too hasty. That was an interesting detail. He has like a mental block where he can't say something out loud about it to Gordon. Here we go. That's why I had to come here myself. Ivy might be behind this break-in, and there's no way I could warn Gordon of her possible involvement. Under post-hypnotic compulsion, not to say a word about Ivy's intentions.
Okay,
so
interesting.
he has some kind of mental block that he can't talk about it, even though he's aware of it. But really, it's Catman, of course, and he has a tattered remain of Catman's cape. And Catman has an interesting set of abilities. Not only is he sort of like a grappling fighter, vigilante like Batman, he's got steel claws in his gloves, so that gives him the cat claws. but also his cape heals him, apparently.
What?
I don't think they explain whether it's a mystical or a technological thing, or they don't really get into details here, but you're supposed to know that Catman has it actually has such healing properties that it cured Selena, it cured Catwoman of a terminal disease. Batman mentions in his thought here,
Okay.
and that's Catman's motivation here. Is he in their last encounter got his cape torn, and they're like, let's keep this cape to study it at Wayne
Right. That
Institute
makes
so we can
sense.
figure out what it does. And they thought Catman was dead. Yeah, Batman kills, apparently. Sometimes they're a little inconsistent with these accidental deaths. Is like, how, yeah, I don't know, how accidental was that, Batman? But he was able to heal with his cape, but only
To a certain
to
extent.
an extent. That's why he's got that scar.
Okay.
So he thinks getting the last remnant of his cape back will get rid of
Heal
his
his
scar,
scar.
which really isn't
Okay.
that bad. Batman should be like, look at Harvey Dent. That guy is messed up. He made his whole personality based on halves and duality. You don't have to go down that road, Catman. It's
Please
been
don't.
done. It's really just a pink spot over your eye. It's not that big of a deal.
I wouldn't have noticed it had you not mentioned it.
This fight here lasts all of 6 seconds, he says. But to the
Wow.
fighters, it has seemed an eternity. And Catman actually beats Batman. You might be thinking, Batman's so good at fighting. I really like this tumbling
Yeah, that's
motion thing where he kind of wobbly, like finds purchase on the ground like a cat.
Yeah.
Like he's kind of like a gymnast, but it's, there's a little wobble to his legs that I thought was funny.
Although, you know what? You know how cats have that hanging belly?
Yeah,
It
maybe
helps
he
him.
needs that. Maybe he has it, and he just sucks it in when everybody's looking at him. That would be a good Catman. They do give a little bit of his backstory, because Catman was like a big game hunter named Tom Blake, and I believe he wanted to become a vigilante like Batman, but became jealous of Batman, and so became a bad guy instead. Something to that effect. It's a little goofy. But Batman is like the better fighter. The problem is, in their fighting, they dislodged some equipment and a bottle trips Batman, and then Catman uppercuts him. I like these pink motion lines.
Yeah, intense.
And instead of just killing him, he knocks out Batman. Instead of just like taking off his mask to figure out who he is, or cutting his head off, or stabbing him in the heart, or shooting him in the face,
Like he would.
or just like putting a plastic bag over his head tightly, he ties him to the beach because the
He
tide's
takes him to
coming
the
in.
beach.
Yeah. And they do acknowledge it, because he says, to paraphrase another criminal genius, I want you to die, Batman. He's doing like the James Bond Goldfinger thing.
Yes.
Like, what do you want? I want you to die. But instead of a laser that's going to cut him in half, he's just going to drown slowly as the tide comes
no.
in. It's a little goofy. And my favorite part of it is, I'll get to the recap of the action, but my favorite part of it is he says, you can join each other at the bottom of Gotham Bay. Farewell, Batman. I promise I won't think of you when I sail on tomorrow's time. It's like so petty. It's like, really? You just drowned a man by staking him to the beach, and you're not even going to think about that as you sail away? That can't be true. You would think about that, even just to congratulate yourself. Like, I did a really good job of killing Batman back there. But no, he's got to be so petty. He's like, I won't even think about you. That's how little you mean to me.
It's interesting that they had a cat bring him to water.
Yeah, exactly. Well, maybe that's what he does. He's like, I could just stab him to death right now, but ooh, water, that's the worst torture of all. Getting a little bit wet, that's the worst thing that can happen to a person, right?
And he is walking on the ultimate litter box. I mean, all that
he dug
sand.
a little hole off panel. This is the backstory that we get. It's really not that vivid, but it kind of catches us up to speed.
I like how they draw how he's sitting.
I know, he's got that cat posture down pretty good. He doesn't ever get into like a loaf like a cat would do. That would be funny to see.
Or if they showed him on a glass ceiling from below.
You could see his little paunch. Once I thought it would relieve my boredom to outwit you in the game of crime. You were too much the master for me to become a crime fighter rival, so instead I became an enemy. But you didn't play the part I'd written for you. You defeated me time and again, so we have a little backstory montage of Batman whooping his butt. And the last time They were on Catman's private Greek Isle. You know, he has a private Greek island like
Wow.
many of us do. And he was fighting Batman.
How many billionaires are there in this?
Right? And they're all fighting in leotards over volcanoes and stuff. Come on. Some people are just trying to keep up with inflation. But they're fighting on a scalding hot geyser hole. And I think Catwoman went to help Batman, knocked Catman off balance, and then they tried to catch him by his cape. And that's why they have the remnant, is he fell into the scalding geyser hole. And he says, well, the cape kept me alive except for this funky part of my head. Which is kind of cool, though. He looks like he could be a James Bond villain or something.
Yeah.
Because he's very James Bond in other ways in his method of killing people.
Yeah.
So Batman is like, I gotta hold my breath, and as the soil that's keeping these stakes in place gets muddier and looser, I'll be able to break out of. And he does,
makes sense.
of course.
Yes.
This is the hardest panel to read in the whole comic. It got really smudged, but I think it says it isn't really a catamaran, but the owner calls her by that name all the same. So it's not like that type of boat with two hulls or whatever. But since he's Catman, he's got. It's like if he's got his own island, he couldn't have just bought a catamaran. Exactly. He's got to buy a different type of boat and just call it that. That's lazy. You own a Greek island.
And cheap.
Yeah. It's also weird that we get glossy paper in the middle of this newsprint comic. Yeah. Well, it's a Hostess ad, so you got to go all out for those. I don't think we've seen this penguin one, so we should stop and read this.
Penguins.
They have disturbingly human faces.
I know.
Instead of bird heads, they've got just penguin heads. The penguin. Maybe that's his criminal motive. He's like, I saw the bird, the penguin, and I'm like, I wish they had my face. Those bastards. That's my lifelong goal.
I like its umbrella. I like the drawing.
Well, let's see how it goes. Look, a parade of emperor penguins. Must be an advertising gimmick. You aren't looking at penguins, my dear. They are puppets in a pecuniary plot, which will soon thicken. While everybody's attention is engaged by my penguins, I shall take possession of the Emperor's Sword, a king's ransom in gems and history. The Emperor's Sword, huh? I'm not familiar with that. Well, somebody has left some Hostess fruit pies easily accessible. Apple and cherry? I think a little stopover to enjoy some would not be amiss. We put Emperor Penguins and the Emperor's Sword together and knew you'd had to be near. So they that's like entrapment. They're like, we know that you're really into penguins, so we made like the perfect penguin theme. Yeah. We thought they would be a good incentive, the fruit pies. We weren't sure if you liked apple or cherry, so we got one of both. Penguin was like, well, I like them both. I do like cherry a little more, but I'm glad that you got apple. Thanks to Hostess fruit pies, you're not only near, but caught. I like how that Batman doesn't even show for this one. This is something the regular cops can handle. Oh, well, I didn't get a fortune in gems, but I did get the light tender crust and real fruit filling of Hostess fruit pies. The day wasn't a total loss. Yeah, Chubbs, get in the car. Have fun in prison, idiot.
Oh, that's so lame.
Maybe it's glossy maybe CBS sprung for the 2-page spread of their cartoons here.
Yeah.
I don't remember Black Star.
I don't either.
This looks vaguely familiar, but I'm not sure.
What?
The new Fat Albert show. I didn't know they did a reboot of that.
Yeah, they did.
Trollkins? Looks like a Smurfs ripoff, to be honest.
Yeah.
And Tom and Jerry, what's up with Jerry? Tom, rather. What's up with Tom's color? He's like the same color as Jerry.
Yeah.
I messed that up. Anyway, back to Batman. He gets on the catamaran gracefully.
Cat-like reflexes.
Wouldn't you know, he gets his cape back together and whole. It's intact, but it doesn't heal his scar. And Catwoman's like, you should be just happy that you're alive. We thought you were on your last of your 9 lives the last time, but you should just be happy that you survived it all. And he's like, shut up. And he's like, I'm going to kill you, but, just give me a second. But Batman interrupts his unsheathing of his steel claws, grabs him by the cape. That's a nice little
Yeah.
flips him over, and they start to fight. But Batman's Batman's faced him before, so he knows that as long as he dodges those steel
Those
claws,
claws, right.
he'll be all right. And Catman thinks he has Batman cornered. Batman's like, am I though? And he hits him with the boom. He unsecures the boom, which goes swinging out, knocking Catman in the water, and he can't swim. And even though, last time it did seem like an accident when they thought they killed Catman, but Batman just watches this guy drown. That's the end. He's just like,
That's
oh,
it?
can't swim, huh, buddy? Well, I'm glad you're on your last life. That seems like killing, because the next panel, we don't see Catman getting taken away by the authorities or anything. We just go to, Bruce and Selina are
And they
out
don't talk
again.
about it?
They said, let's never speak of it again. What happened on the catamaran stays on the catamaran.
Ooh.
But,
Wow.
yeah, they decide that they can't be together after all, and Bruce is all sad because she said, this adventure reminded me that even though I said I'm not going to be Catwoman anymore, some people still think I am. And
Yeah.
Catman, who knows if he's still out there. We did watch him try to struggle to shore for a good 10 minutes there as he slowly drowned, and we did nothing to save him, but who knows, he might come back. So, and even though Alfred puts up with a lot of crap, he's there to comfort Bruce, or try to.
Yeah.
If I might be so bold, might I buy you a cup of hot tea? Why not, Alfred? I might have put a little more stink on it, but look how sullen he looks. Oh, I'm only a billionaire superhero. Wow.
Aww.
And this sets us up for the next issue, because some red-headed lady, as they point out, flame red hair, is spying on him and putting two and two together that he may be Batman. So he's going to have to do a little switcheroo. I'm sure he'll get somebody to, Alfred, put this costume on. I'm the Batman. It's all baggy on him. He'll get out of it some way. We do have a little mini adventure before we're done with this issue. We have a second
Batgirl.
story. Yeah, with Batgirl teaming up with Supergirl. So, I guess we've left off with, if you think
Vulture
he's
has-
ugly now and has a protruding brow, this guy's head gets more grotesque in every panel. He is the worst.
Wow.
So he almost has a Wonder Woman looking thing, but it's a V. We'll get to that.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we left off, I guess, in the last adventure where Supergirl was in town in Gotham for some reason, and Batman is out of town. And the Annihilator has just absorbed Supergirl's powers and wants to take over Gotham. And look, his head's like swelling.
Ew.
Look how gross he looks.
Ew. I don't think you could get grosser than that.
Yeah, that's funky. How are you gonna find a hat that fits that? So he's like, maybe if your groveling pleases me, citizens, I'll only destroy half of your city. It's like, that's not good leadership. Positive reinforcement.
He's got Supergirl's powers, but she's got all the powers of Superman, correct?
Right, so you'd think he'd be flying around, shooting lasers from his face, having really strong breath. But it turns out that's not the case. Batgirl kind of just deduces this through all this thinking that, he's got a cut on his hand, so if he truly had Supergirl's powers, he would be impervious to that.
Right.
And he's really sweating a lot. So what I think is he absorbed her energy and not her powers. So she's just like passed out, but she still is Supergirl and has all those powers. So she's like, maybe if I throw a gas bomb down on him, swoop in, grab Supergirl so he can't continue getting that energy, he'll be easier to defeat. And he's like shooting blasts at her. I guess he has projectile blasts.
Oh, his head
purple
is
ones.
just gross.
I know. It's like bulging in the back in that one in particular. This is my favorite one. She's like, maybe I can use her as a human shield. Since she's invulnerable. She's like, bah, bah, just getting blasted. Which is funny because she's like, oh, amazing. That blast would have fried me, but it revived Supergirl. It woke her up. Supergirl's probably like, yeah, I'm invulnerable, but it still friggin' hurts. God. I was passed out and you used me as a human shield? Come on. So they confront the Annihilator here and kind of repel him. I guess Supergirl doesn't want to get close to him because if he's able to touch her again, he can absorb her energy.
Kind of like Rogue.
It's exactly like Rogue, but with like some weird mushroom head.
But oh,
So she gives him some heat vision, and
pop that
he,
thing like a zit.
I know. Ugh. He like reflects it back at them.
Oh, no.
And it doesn't hurt Supergirl, which is interesting for me. So I guess for Superman, his own vision can't hurt him, or it's the same thing
Okay.
for Supergirl. That's something I didn't really think about before this comic, but she's afraid that Batgirl would get annihilated by it, so she stops shooting, and he's going through further transformations. It's like, if you
Yeah,
didn't think he
it's-
was grotesque enough, he's now electrified, and his head, it looks super big there.
Ew.
It's all lopsided. He's got to investigate and can't battle anymore because he's like, I got to figure out why my head is getting even bigger.
Really?
And what
So he
new
doesn't
powers it's
know.
giving me. Yeah, he doesn't even know what his powers are. I don't know if that's just lazy writing because he gains a power like mid-adventure that's really convenient in a moment, but whatever. It's fine. This is my favorite part of the story. So after he leaves, they kind of catch each other up to speed, and Supergirl's like, "Yeah, I was visiting." I guess she thinks this because they don't want to exchange alter egos. But she was in Gotham to do a talk show as Linda Danvers,
Right.
and he's
Okay.
like, my cousin Superman said he was out of town. He was doing a space mission. That's probably where Batman is too. So that just leaves us to deal with the Annihilator, which is fine. Batgirl's like, well, I did save you. Why don't you do me a favor? And so they go over to this guy's Jeff Cotton has a service station. He's cool with Batgirl. I don't think that he knows that it's Commissioner Gordon's daughter, Barbara
Yeah.
Gordon. But they like work together because he believes in what she does. And she's like, well, I need a secret way to get in and out with my motorcycle. And so Supergirl's like, okay, I'll fly into the floor. And without collapsing the building, is able to
Why?
like dig this tunnel, fortify the walls by padding them like super tight. She's like, I'll add a hydraulic lift so the cycle can be raised and lowered. And it's like, she did all that, and then she makes a diagonal tunnel to get an exit that's concealed. And she's like, oh, this old blind alley that has no windows from three sides is a perfect place. It's all
crazy.
very convenient. And it's like, well, I dig that she could, I believe that she could dig through the floor like this.
Right.
But like, where'd she get the hydraulic lift? She go steal one from somebody? Can she like manufacture lifts? That's one of her powers.
Yeah.
It's like she could assemble a piece of machinery. I don't know. I think that was I don't know about that. So she helps Batgirl be more inconspicuous, getting on her motorcycle and yeah. Anyway, they're like, we got to track down the Annihilator and figure out how to beat him. Meanwhile, his head
Oh my
is
gosh.
becoming even grosser looking, and he has this gem, I guess, that originally gave him his powers, this strange alien mineral specimen that first changed him, that he's now put into this gun. And so his whole idea is that he's become a more advanced like life form, and now he needs to find a wife to like
Of
have a
course.
super advanced species. So he's going to use one of these ladies and shoot him. I think Batgirl with that's actually the cliffhanger that we end on. He's like, Batgirl, she's more susceptible because she's not invulnerable, but she's also a nice specimen, he says, something creepy like that, and blasts her, or he's about to become the bride
Bride of
of Havoc.
Okay, so he's going to change his name and become a. Oh, that
Well,
is just...
oh, and I almost skipped over it. That's where that weird Wonder Woman looking thing goes, the V-shaped design. Oh, I've seen that somewhere else. She says, my old photographic memory didn't let me down. It's from Vesper Research Laboratories. Supergirl's probably like, you don't have to pretend you have a photograph. Like, I know I have a lot of powers, but don't like make things up just to be cool. I think this is my favorite drawing of him. And this is what I
That's-
mean about him getting new powers. Like, my new power, precognition, I can see them coming. It's like, so you only get to see the future that they're going to be here. You don't see something that would help you, like, devise a strategy or, like, see his own defeat so then he can avoid it or something.
Right,
It's
right.
Like, it's convenient to an extent. So anyway, we'll have to dig up another Detective Comics to see if they make it out of that one.
I would be interested in seeing the one beforehand, too, when he fights Man-Bat.
Yeah, I want to see the one after to see his head get even grosser and grosser. Maybe he could take some of that bat gland for his head and get all sorts of new powers. So you
Ooh.
did a Marvel comic this episode.
I did.
It's a little
And
bent,
I know.
a little bendy,
I know.
but it's got a great cover.
That's what drew me in was the cover. Usually we see so many bright purple and green. Well, because I read a lot of Hulk, but this is such a clean design, and it just drew me in with the chessman. First, though, I saw it out of the corner of my eye. I thought it said cheese man, but which
He could be a cheese man.
he's shooting cheese.
I like the design of his mount.
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
weird
yeah.
like insect eyes on the horse.
Yeah, and the
He
hair.
looks like he's
and-
really scowling too. He's grumpy.
And that he's robotic. You know, he's in a suit too.
But he's still got flair because he's got the pinkish purple
Mm-hmm.
accents. He's like, I'm melancholy knight from the future, but I'm not afraid to express myself too.
But yeah, I
So
really.
Iron Man 163 from
163.
October. What year? Do you remember?
I don't remember the year.
I'm gonna crack it open and see. 82, I believe it looks like.
82.
My vision doesn't fail me. All right.
So
The window's on fire.
with
That's never good.
we begin with Iron Man putting out a fire, and someone has attacked the compound at Stark Industries.
Man, they go after the Wayne Institute.
There's-
If you have like a scientific
Any kind of
facility,
Yep.
get some guards
Get-
because it's only a matter of time before the supervillains come.
Yep, but it doesn't. You know, it's Tony Stark. It doesn't take well, it's Iron Man. It doesn't take much
Anthony.
to
I like to call him
put it
Anthony.
out. He puts out the fire pretty quickly, and he notices that it was set by this guy, and it just, he goes on to explain that he's being brainwashed by
Hypnotic command, weird. Batman and Poison Ivy was under hypnotic command, weird parallels.
Yep. So he takes off those earphones and stops, and the guy's like, "Huh? Where?" It's like, yeah, okay, dude.
I bet those are the same headphones Doctor Doom used
That-
on Silver Surfer to steal his powers.
Aren't
The
they the
pink
same
earmuffs
color?
of
Yeah.
power stealing and hypnosis.
So he puts out the fire, and he's going to do more damage control. And he comes out because international playboy. He saves this woman from the monorail collapses on her car.
That's a cool drawing. I like the warped steel there.
Yeah,
You could think he could settle for just being a national playboy.
you would
International.
think so. You
Come
would
on.
think. So, and he's trying to be a little smarmy too. What does he say? I hope you don't mind my being a little rough with your wheels. As an auto body man, I'm a good wrecking crew. So he saves her and flies her to the hospital. And it's like with Batman being a little salty with
Alfred?
Okay, so the doctor's like, you're getting to be our chief supplier of customers, Iron Man. You ought to start your own hospital. He goes, can the humor, doctor. I'm in no mood for it. Tony Stark will want a complete report on the young lady's condition tonight. Understood?
Ooh.
And then
Damn.
the doctor, look. He's
But
making...
see, that's where I think Batman and Iron Man should be different, though, because I feel like, especially in the Marvel movies, they played up the sarcastic side of Tony Stark, of him being kind of
Oh,
like
yeah,
an insufferable jerk and arrogant and stuff. But I never got that the point of, like, I could see Bruce Wayne doing that in public to maintain an image of being vapid so people didn't suspect him of being Batman, but to do it in private with Alfred, of just
Yeah,
being
that's
like
true.
snarky and abusive towards Alfred, it's like, come on, Alfred doesn't have to be there. I mean, he does because it's his job,
Yeah.
but
True, that's
like
true.
he's so supportive, he doesn't tell anybody. He could tell all sorts of people about his secret identity. Don't you
True,
think
that's
it's
true.
like the 15th time that Bruce is like, this soup is too cold, and he throws it against the wall, you'd just be like,
That's it.
Daily
Brucey.
Bugle? I got it for you. I figure a different universe. Maybe then nobody will find out.
But it's funny because the doctor, he's giving him the side eye, and he's like, yes, sir, Mr. Shellhead, sir.
He's wearing Doctor Doom's style of glasses
Well,
there.
that
The
becomes
double
Dr.
bridge.
Doom.
Yeah. He got sassed too hard.
And so Rhodey comes in, and they're trying to investigate more about what happened. And then Tony goes to the hospital to check on the patient.
Does she know he's Iron Man, or does she think
No,
it's his
she was on a
bodyguard or
tour.
whatever?
She was on a tour at
Okay.
but she has internal injuries and stuff, and he's giving her the old charm, and tells her, we'll meet up for dinner.
I love the
When you're
design of
feeling
this
better.
panel. I don't mean to jump ahead,
Yes.
but wow, that's cool looking.
Yes. So then they go on a
Private jet.
on his private jet, because they're going to investigate the origins of the bombs that were being used.
Oh,
And then
I
it
see.
cuts to the panel introducing our villain. It never tells you who the villain is.
Chess
I
master.
mean, we have chess. We have the knight here,
It's a
and
Bobby
the other.
Fischer.
It's the computer.
Deep Blue.
And so he's telling him, he's just kind of getting things in order and bringing out the knight. It's the knight's turn to come and fight Tony Stark.
If chess was like this, I would play all the time.
I would be scared to death. Bring some extra underwear.
I think
That's
Stark.
all I gotta
Come
tell you.
on, Stark. You gotta be aware of your carbon footprint.
Does he?
You should.
He should, but so anyway, look at the way they drew the knight, though. He's
It's
pretty
almost
cool.
like he's got like a nose plate or something. That's a weird look. It
Yeah.
almost looks like a little French mustache, but it's like where his mouth should be.
I know.
It's funky.
Yeah. So on the way there, they have an issue with the plane. They're unaware that the knight is tracking them, and he comes in and shoots his laser at the engine.
Damn.
So
Do you think
Rhodey,
this Rook goes to the same JCPenney that Galactus goes to or whatever?
Absolutely.
He's got like the same purple blue. He's like, could you get it in a chess theme?
I think the comics use purple a lot. Every single comic that we've read so far.
Purple is a pretty versatile color though, because it's
yeah.
like it pops on the page, but depending on how light or dark it is, it can be kind of cosmic, or it can be kind of it fits this medieval kind of aesthetic good too.
Yeah, but it's interesting. It's something that stands out. The use of
Definitely.
purple. So anyway, Rhodey doesn't really. He's just trying to keep the airplane in the air, and Tony ducks out, puts on his suit, goes out, realizes that he has
Dislodge
dislodged the
turbine.
yeah.
It's
And
gotta be
so-
annoying if you're flying in a jet and you gotta. Fine, put on your. I'll go fix the jet. I'll be right back.
This is before the suit could put itself on you.
Yeah.
So anyway, he goes out there and he uses his suit's capabilities and reattaches it, and they land safely. And when they're down on the ground, this woman who Tony knows comes up, and is like, "Hey, join me for breakfast." And Rhodey's like, "Hey, I thought you were into that lady that's in the hospital."
Yeah.
He's like, "Well, this one's here."
He's looking
Basically,
pretty
Isn't
questionable
it?
there.
I know it. I know
Yikes.
it. And yeah, and with the Me Too movement, this Tony is
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Well, I don't know if you're supposed to like him though, because they probably wouldn't have Rhodey bring that up. And I
good
think they would
point.
intentionally make him look kind of like he's got bad intentions, like because you have to. This is still the era where he was an alcoholic and
Yeah,
stuff.
that's true.
And they brought that back over the years, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's kind of a creepy dude.
So they go to lunch, and then he and Rhodey.
He's gonna hit him with a rolled up newspaper. Be more respectful.
They need to get. Well, she's like, "I have the rest of the day off," and he's like, "Oh, I'm afraid I don't." And Rhodey shows up, and he's like, "We got to get going." So they take off, and
Cool wallpaper.
I
Must have got
know.
it from Doctor Strange or something.
and he calls, and he orders 6 dozen. Is it 6 dozen? I can't see from here. roses every 4 hours to be delivered to her room.
Every 4 hours?
And caviar, and yeah, it's crazy. He's like just lavishing her with
Seems excessive.
luxury. Yeah, very excessive. But they take off, and and then the night comes in. He's like, "Where's Tony Stark?"
He's in his bedroom?
And then
I like that he's in the bar first, or in the lobby or whatever. That guy's like, what the heck?
can you imagine living in a world where this stuff could happen? And you're just a tourist, and
Oh my god.
this guy comes in on this floating
You're
robot
trying to
horse.
drop off your DoorDash, and there's a damn knight holding people at Lance Point.
Like, oh, great, you again. So they,
Speaking of purple, some good
yeah,
purples and pinks
they
are out
locate the location of the guy who's making the bombs. What is his name? It says his name over there.
now. Aloysius Lafferty?
Yes.
That's a name. Wow.
Uh-huh.
You could just call him Al.
This panel's amazing. And
Yeah, that's really cool.
he's
That
like,
would make a
I'll
good
knock on the
poster.
door. And
He's got him in his sights.
he's like, Aloysius Timothy Lafferty, I presume. And Faith and Begorra. And the funniest panel, I think, my favorite. Where is it? They're putting up a little bit of a fight, and he's like,
He's trying to give him some booze.
yeah.
No drink. Information. It's like he's heard about Iron Man's alcoholism. He's like, maybe if I can get him drunk.
It's like,
That's
maybe.
hilarious.
And then the knight shows up.
So the knight's not related to this Aloysius guy.
No.
He's just a
no.
different antagonist.
Well, Aloysius doesn't know who he's like, it was just a check. I don't know. And Tony's like, what was the name on the check? "Well, I don't know. It was just a check, He's just some dumb. But at one point, Aloysius, where does he say? He calls himself, where is it? In his time of being a terrorist, and he calls himself these labels that it's like, really, like, this is
He thinks of himself as a terrorist? That's interesting.
well, and that would make sense with the Irish IRA and stuff. But anyway, the knight shows up to fight Iron Man, and I've already fought a Black Knight and a Dread Knight. So who might you be? My master simply calls me the Knight. Oh, and what's his name? I'll carve the answer in your gullet.
His gullet?
Yeah. And then he rushes him, and Iron Man is like, oh, he's quicker than I thought he'd be.
He's faster than an Iron Man's gullet.
Yeah, like he's besting Iron Man here. And
Must be that steed.
and Tony's can't figure out what it is about him. And he actually hits him and knocks his power into half. So
Damn.
yeah. And so Tony gets
That's
a crack.
a cool panel, too.
Yes. He does get a hit on him, and backs him up against the mountain, and notices that he couldn't dodge, and he lost one of
Oh,
his
we lost
power
one of his little
packs.
circular things.
Yeah.
That's what that is, a power pack?
Power pack in this suit
Yeah.
anyway, and
That must have been the hit that took it, huh?
and he said his offensive capability is just about halved, and
I love the green in that one.
yeah, he looks really intense. I like how he's peeking over the horse's mane.
Yeah, it looks like the mane is part of his face.
It gives him a Punisher look.
Yeah.
And
He's like medieval Punisher. With a ponytail.
that would be actually really cool. And he says, you be a little lopsided now. Don't worry, you won't have long to stew on it. And he comes at him again and hits him again. So
Ooh,
Tony's
that
taking a
lance
lot.
is dangerous.
And is it down here where Aloysius?
30 years I've been a terrorist, arsonist, and bomber. And I never seen the likes of them two. I think it's high time I retire. I'll just pack a few things for the journey. Dynamite. And bid the neighborhood farewell. That's funny.
It's crazy. And in his own home, he's got a door marked danger explosives.
Just to remind him in case he forgets.
Don't stumble in late at night drunk.
You have to be always vigilant when you live with explosives strewn everywhere. I like that shot of his eye up close like that.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And those motion lines as he charges.
Yes. And look how fast. It's like he just incrementally gets closer, just the speed of light
Get
almost.
out of there.
And he's barely dodging. Every time that the knight approaches him, he's barely getting out of the way. And he uses his, what is that?
Repulsor.
But I love the way that they're illustrating the fight.
I like how the fight seems to change directions.
Yes,
the size
yes.
and the layout of the panel, the length of it.
So in Tony's thought bubbles, he realizes that the knight seems to be taking power or using the mass of, like the mountain, when he was by the mountain, the mass of things, and the building, and so he uses that against him to overtake him.
Ooh.
And he gets him off the steed, which slows him down. But I love this, how he grabs.
Yeah, that's cool. Turns out it was Adam Driver the whole time.
Every time it's Adam Driver. And so he's trying to get the name of the guy who's his boss, and he's like, I'll not tell, or it's my life. And Tony's like, the fight's gone out of him totally. Upsy daisy, mister. But yeah, it's really good.
I like to think he's not passed out.
Fighting
He's just
panels.
like refusing to support his own body weight to make it harder for Iron Man to carry him. Fine, but you're gonna have to drag me the whole way.
He's doing the dead man.
Yep.
And so
More of Galactus's chest set
I
here.
know, look at that guy, Bishop. So I'd like to see this next comic to see if they do send the
Yeah.
Bishop or the Rook after him.
Ooh, he kept his helmet. That's cool. Oh, and if that's the cover to the next one, we have that one. I recognize
Really?
that cover. I'm pretty sure we do.
That would be fun too.
Will we do a comics first and actually read 2 consecutive issues?
That would be
Maybe.
interesting.
Give us a like, comment, and subscribe, and maybe we will.
Yeah,
Maybe
that
we
would be
won't.
that would be awesome. I like how he kept his helmet though. It's like Rhodey.
Wouldn't you, if you defeated supervillains, wouldn't you keep some of
Well,
their
yeah.
stuff?
Oh,
just for
yeah.
the trouble they put you through? Or as a
Well, and
memento?
it's Tony. He's gonna what is that called? He's gonna rear engineer it.
Reverse engineer.
Reverse engineer
Or
it
like
and-
Batman has all those like memorabilia in his cave, that big
Oh, that's
coin.
true. Yeah,
The
yeah.
Tyrannosaurus Rex and all of his Funko Pops
True.
of
true.
himself mostly.
So that was the comic, and
I like the printed
did
circus.
too.
That's a good name for the
Oh,
letters
yeah.
to the editor.
That would be interesting to look up all of the letters to the editors and match them with.
Ooh, that could be a little
book?
game. Man. Some of them
Yeah.
would be obvious, but I bet some of them would be a little tough. Maybe that's a little quiz we have to do to each other. for
That
the
would be
future.
fun.
That's
That
a
would
great
be fun.
idea. Well, we're brainstorming future episodes. Well, if you want to see an episode like that or any normal episodes, you have to click like, comment, and subscribe.
Or you don't. It's okay.
Nope, you have to do it. Thanks for watching comics, and tune in next time.